We are live. Welcome to the show, everybody. Sorry about being a couple of minutes late. I was having audio issues on my side. Of course, it was my side, but actually my side and not you, the professionals. Dave's. He's always dead on. How are you, Dave?
Doing great. Everything's fantastic. How about yourself?
Lie to me, brother. Lie to me. Everything's fantastic. Everything is wonderful.
Except for everything that's going on in the world, everything's great.
Yeah. It's hey, I hope you and the family are doing well. I didn't get to say that before we actually went on air. The reason I wanted to have you on is you have a unique perspective. I would say a more aligned perspective with the reality of the situation than anyone I know, because you've had so many people, so many influential people on your show. You've had the Trumps, you've had General Flynn, you've had so many people on your show, and I value your point of view, your perspective, because I really think that you've really honed in on it with everyone you've actually talked to and interviewed. So I just have a few questions on
Sure.
everything.
Okay. Everything. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, here it comes, Dave. Get ready. Grab your coffee, brother. We're gonna be here for a bit. Overall, do you think Trump is leading in the polls, or do you? Which I know the answer, but I want to hear your view. Do you really believe all the junk that she's gaining momentum? She's passing Trump. Trump's in trouble. Give me your point of view, brother.
Okay. Well, I personally do not think that this is true whatsoever. I mean, if you go back to Biden, remember when they wanted to get rid of him, what did they do? They built the polls up. They showed people, look, you're losing in the polls. You can't beat him. Well, they used the polls, a lot of the actual numbers. They used it to push Biden out, to convince him that he'll never be able to win. Now they flipped it around, and now they're using the polls to actually convince the people that Kamala is the best thing since sliced bread. So, do I think it's real? No, I think it's a psyop, and I think it's still part of the awakening. I mean, think about who they chose for Kamala. First of all, they brought in Kamala, and they also brought in Walz. So this guy is the worst of the worst. Why would they bring in the worst of the worst to add on to her campaign? It makes no sense whatsoever, unless they're going to maybe swap both of them out or one of them out or something. So I think right now they are just building her up because the DNC is headed our way. They need everyone to think that she's incredible, that she's doing a great job. And like Trump says, we're in the honeymoon phase of building her up. But when you go back in time and you look at poll numbers from like 2016 with Hillary Clinton, with Trump, they did the same thing back then. They built Hillary up. They had these outrageous numbers, and they tried to make everyone believe that Hillary was going to win with absolutely no problem. The same thing's happening with Kamala. They're doing the exact same strategy, but I think it goes a lot further than that. I think that as they keep doing this, I think people are starting to realize that these two individuals, they're like the worst of the worst. Even their base, I think, is starting to wake up and starting to see this, because think about all the things that are coming out now about Waltz, about stolen valor, about how he did everything opposite that everyone else was. Well, I shouldn't say everyone. He did everything a dictator would do during a crisis, and that's what he did. And I think it's reflecting upon him that he is this really bad, terrible candidate. And I think they put this guy in place for a specific reason, and that is to swap them out. Because you don't bring someone in like this. I know everyone's out there like, oh, you should have vetted better. No, I think this was done on purpose. I think Kamala, she's a stepping stone because they couldn't jump over her. So they needed her in there first. Can you imagine if they said, hey, by the way, Biden's not running. We're going to step over Kamala and we're going to go to the next candidate. I don't think their base would have accepted that. I don't think people would have accepted that. And people would definitely say, what's going on here? So I think they had to move to her. She had to pick a vice president. They couldn't pick anyone that great. They had to build her up. They had to keep pushing this until the DNC. And I think it's going to happen either during the DNC or maybe after the DNC. And we'll have to see how this plays out. But I do believe that she's just a placeholder right now. And I think Trump knows that she's a placeholder. And I think that's why they're keeping her hidden, not hidden like Biden, where he was down in the basement, but they don't want her to do interviews. They don't want her to go off script. They don't want her to do anything until they have the replacements.
Yeah, and there's no way they want her up against Trump in a debate. There's no way in hell Trump would eat her up. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I mean, just like Biden, she doesn't have dementia. She has what's the right word I'm looking for? It.
She's a dumbass.
Yeah, she's a moron. But I think that's why she pushed back on the debate, saying, I don't want to go to Fox. I don't want to go here. I only want the ABC debate, because she knows that she will fail in the other debate. So again, Trump had the debate scheduled with Biden. Biden never made it. And here we are now with her. She only wants one. He's already scheduling all of them. He's saying, oh, no, we're going to do all of them. And I don't know if she's going to make it to the debates, which I personally don't think she will. I don't think they'll be able to keep her in the race, because you have to remember, the deep state, they want to cheat in the election. They know they can't win. They know they can't win with her. They know that they don't have the ability to use the mail-in ballots like they did before. They don't have the ability to use the drop boxes like they did before. They don't have the ability to cheat on the scale that they were able to cheat with Biden. They don't have COVID. So a lot of things have changed for them. Does that mean they're not going to try to cheat? Of course they are. But to cheat, you need someone that could actually, do somewhat well in the polls, because you just can't, do 100% of the ballots. Because remember, she's not getting votes, she's getting ballots. So you just can't say, something, we're going to have to print 100% of the ballots and use 100% of the ballots to push her over the winning line. So you need someone that can actually still get votes, and then you can basically take the ballot and use that to push whoever it is over the winning line. So I don't think she has the ability to do this. That's why I think they're going to swap her out. And I think they're going to realize eventually, from everything that we're seeing, is the next person they bring in, that person will not have the ability to pull it off, because we're not in the same situation that we were back in 2020, where everyone was afraid in their house. Everyone was wearing masks. I don't want to go out. I better just use the mail-in ballot, because they'll be safe that way. And I can send it in, even with their illegals. Listen, we all know there's millions and millions of people in this country, and they're going to use them to cheat. I just don't think they have enough of these people. Even if they do 3-4 ballots, I don't think it's going to work the same. Number one, a lot of the swing states have changed their laws. Number two, a lot of the voter rolls have been scraped, which means they can't use those people's names. So that's going to be very, very difficult. So I think a lot of things have changed, and I think we're heading down this path where the players, the Ds, the deep state um, group, I think they're going to use a completely different tactic in cheating. Because remember, just printing ballots and feeding the ballots in, that's one form of cheating. Election interference is another form of cheating. Trying to delay the elections is another form of cheating. Using a cyber attack to try to manipulate the votes to say, hey, Trump won because another country helped him. That's cheating in the election. So I think they're going to try to use other tactics this time. I don't think they're going to follow the same exact playbook that they did in 2020. And I think this time around, I think what they're going to do is they're going to either, number one, delay the election, or as you can see the narrative now building since Trump's campaign was cyber attacked or hacked into, and CISA and FBI already put out a warning that foreign governments might hit certain election centers or part of the infrastructure that might manipulate the election. I think what's going to happen this time, I think what they're going to try to do is they're going to make the case that the elections were hit by some type of hack or cyber attack. And two options: either they'll say we have to delay it because we don't trust the results, or Trump won and the results were manipulated. And now we have a problem. And I think all of this is to get Trump's base very, very angry. And I think in the end, they want some type of civil war.
Yeah, I definitely think that, as from what I've heard from friends up in Washington, D.C., is that nobody wants to put their hat in the ring up against Trump. That's why she was the only choice they had, and her vice president, nobody volunteered, nobody wanted to be her VP. That's why it actually came down to the last minute. They reached out to everybody and everyone said no. Because they know what's coming. Now, with that said, everyone listening to our voice right now, you still get out and vote. I mean, we all got to get out and vote. We got to be out there and do not think that you cannot get out there and vote. Bring friends. Give people rides to the voting booth. Volunteer that whole friggin' day to just offer rides or do something, because we have to make sure. And for those people who are able, volunteer as a voting official, as a working the polls, and watch them. And if there's any funny business, you call the authorities. You do not let them block anything. You don't let them corrupt anything. All right. All right. My next question is, from what I hear, Eric and the Trumps are planning some big announcements with with what they plan on doing with cryptos and especially Bitcoin. What do you see from your end with that?
Well, I think there are going to be very big announcements. I think they've already started the groundwork, moving away from the fiat currency that we have today. So when you look at what Trump has been doing, and I think he was very smart in doing this from the very, very beginning. If you go back in time, Trump let everyone know that he was not for Bitcoin. He didn't like crypto. He didn't think it was real money. He said the dollar, that is real money. That's what we have to focus on. We've always known he liked gold. I mean, let's put that aside. Just look at his house. Everything that he has it's all wrapped in gold. So we know that he likes gold. But from the very beginning, and I understand why he did this, and I think people saw it maybe in a different way where he was like, I don't like crypto. I don't believe in uh, that type of form of currency because there's nothing backing it. There's nothing to it. But again, he did sell NFTs and things like that. But I think he did that because if he came out in the very, very beginning, I think they would have attacked Bitcoin very, very hard. Just like during COVID, when he came out and he said, I don't really like, I mean, I like hydroxychloroquine. I think we should use that. I think we should use that as the cure for COVID. And of course, what did they do? They attacked hydroxychloroquine and they just kept doing it. Same thing with ivermectin. So in the beginning, if he came out and said, I'm all for Bitcoin, I think the central bank, I think the powers that be, the deep state players, they would have gone on an all out attack, much worse than they actually did. And I think what he did was he waited for the right moment to say, okay, I'm all in on Bitcoin. I think this is something that we should be using. I think this is something that's very interesting. And then we have Representative, or I think it's Senator Loomis, who um, then introduced, hey, you know something? I can help with this. We could start making Bitcoin the reserve. Trump said, yes, I would like to have the Bitcoin as the reserve. And I think they have like something like 210,000 coins or something like that, that they can begin using Bitcoin as the reserve. So I think he's setting it up to move the country away from the private West Central Bank system and the currency that we're using today. And I think he got the ball rolling and getting people on board, number one, by saying no tax on tips. Because the reason why we have these taxes is because we're borrowing the pieces of paper, and now they're computer blips, but pieces of paper from the private central bank. There's interest attached on this money. So the central bank is really a loan sharking machine where they loan us the money. And if you look at your pieces of paper, it says the Federal Reserve note on it, which means it's not our money, it's their money. We're just renting it, basically. And the reason why we have these taxes is because we have to pay the interest on this money. So I think he started the ball rolling where there was no tax on tips. Then he started to say that there will be no taxes on Social Security. And I think eventually what's going to happen is there'll be no federal income tax. And eventually he'll get all the people on board and he'll say, listen, if you want this, what we got to do is we have to take back control and we need to go to a currency that is for the people. And the only currencies that I know of are gold and Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, to me, I feel is the digital version of gold. And you mine Bitcoin, you mine gold. There's a certain number of deposits for gold, and there's a certain number of Bitcoins that you can mine. Bitcoin, again, is a lot easier to use. You can carry it around. You can move from country to country. You don't have to, take your sack of gold with you and head off to a different place. So you always have access to it. There's no one controlling it. No one, where they can flip you on and off. They don't have that control. Plus, I think every single country, they have the ability to use it very, very easily. I mean, we can use Bitcoin. We can actually do it very, very quickly and remove the SWIFT system, which is tied to the private central bank system. And then we can use Bitcoin, and every country can use Bitcoin to actually have business. And I think the last time you were on my show, we talked about Trump's tariffs, where he was going to use tariffs to fund the government. Get rid of the private central bank, get rid of the interest on the money that we have, use the tariffs to pay for the country, accept Bitcoin um, for the tariff money, take that, fund the government, give it to the farmers, help the country out, and you can actually have a very prosperous country. And then if every single other country does this, the world would completely and utterly change, because you have to remember, going all the way back to 1913, when the central bank came into existence, they've just grown and grown and grown, and now the private Western Central Bank is worldwide. Can you imagine a world without the private Western Central Bank? Can you imagine a world where we, the people, create our currency like our founding fathers wanted, and we are not put into debt over time, which actually degrades the entire system? We also have a criminal enterprise, sending our currency all over the place, and we're actually paying the interest on that. And can you imagine a world where we don't have any of this? And we've seen it before. If you go, I think Trump mentioned one time that if you go back to McKinley, he used tariffs to fund the government, and we had tons of money. If you look back at that time, there was really no private Western Central Bank system, and the country prospered. And I think I think he's going to do the same exact thing. And I think this is why he had Andrew Jackson on the wall in the White House. He gave a speech in front of Andrew Jackson's house, and he refers to Andrew Jackson quite a bit. Plus, just the other day at his rally, I don't know if you saw this, he played the Celine Dion's song from Titanic. And I think he was sending a message to everyone that it's game over for the private central bank. We're moving in a completely different direction, because you have to remember the Titanic sank in 1912. Who was on the Titanic? It was all the individuals that were trying to stop the creation of the private Western Central Bank, and they actually got rid of them during this period of time. And the central bank came into existence in 1913 when Woodrow Wilson signed the act. So I think Trump is letting everyone know that we're moving away from their system that we've been in for a very long time, and we're moving into a new system. And yes, I think it's going to be Bitcoin. That doesn't mean the government's going to just get rid of all their gold and we'll have no gold. I think, yes, there'll still be gold, but I think for transactions, I think you can either use the national currency or you can use Bitcoin. And I think the world is going to completely change over this. And that's my entire take there.
Well, that is, from my point of view, that's an accurate take, because I live cryptos and I live Bitcoin. That's what I do all day long. That's what I deal in. I help projects. I help corporations. I help individuals at our clubs. And what people are waking up to is they're realizing that they finally have an escape from losing their value, losing their actual purchasing power. And that's what Trump sees. Trump sees that holding the Bitcoin in the reserves. Now, notice how Trump chooses his words carefully. Notice why he says reserves, plural.
Yep.
And not reserve. Because what Trump understands is the same thing I understand. Same thing you understand. Is if he holds Bitcoin in the Social Security reserve, in the Veterans Health Care Reserve. If he puts Bitcoin and implements it into all of these social programs, that if we leave it as they are, they're broke. They go dead.
Yeah.
But if you capitalize them with Bitcoin and with the price rise that will cause, because people have to realize, if America puts the Bitcoin in as a reserve, just the amount of capital from the American structure will push the price of Bitcoin up. You cannot integrate the Bitcoin into the reserves of the American governmental structure with the limited supply of the Bitcoin available on the open market. It's literally like you're playing poker. You have 4 aces in your hand, and you are pumping up the hill. You're putting in money, and that's causing everyone else to put in money. So the overall of everything's growing. And with the price rise and the future price rise, that's the only way that these systems are going to exist. And Trump knows. That's why he said the other day, with the little smile on his face, well, maybe we pay off the national debt.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we hand him a little Bitcoin. Maybe we toss him a little Bitcoin. Our national debt's like 33 trillion.
Yeah.
If he's saying maybe we toss him a little bit of Bitcoin and the national debt's paid off, remember, Trump chooses his words wisely. If he's saying a little bit of Bitcoin is going to pay off $33 trillion in debt.
Actually, it's 35.
Oh yes.
2 more trillion.
Well, I try and round a little lower to make myself feel better. It's 35 trillion. Imagine the price of what Bitcoin has to be at to pay off the national debt of the American government.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. It's let's just say, when Bitcoin hits that price, folks, you may never hear from me again, me or Dave.
Well, you said something that's really interesting too, because if you really think about it, you look at the system we're in today, what do? They have unlimited supply of the fiat currency. They just keep creating it. Bitcoin is the actual opposite of that. It's completely opposite of what we have today. So there's a finite amount, which means the value goes up. And if you look at the central bank, if you can keep printing, the value goes down. So this is the actual opposite of what we have been living in. And the people of today's world, they have never experienced a world where we have a finite currency system and the value of the currency continually increases. And as that happens, your buying power, everything gets stronger, better for you, and the economy looks absolutely fantastic. Because when you look at the private West central bank system, as they keep printing, what happens? They need more taxes because there's interest attached to it. It takes more from you, which causes inflation. And also, by the way, inflation is cumulative. They needed to create all these illusions to make you think their system has been working. That's why they manipulate unemployment. That's why they manipulate GDP. That's why they manipulate inflation calculation. So when you look at, let's say, inflation, for example, they needed to manipulate this from the very, very beginning. They keep telling you it's 1%, 2%, 3%. It isn't. That, yeah, maybe for that year, but inflation is cumulative. We've had 3,000% inflation. So add the taxes, add the inflation. They're stealing all of this wealth from you over time. Can you imagine if you were able to pay no taxes today? You were able to have, there was no inflation, and you were able to keep everything that you earned. Would your life be completely different right now? It would be. And that's what happens with Bitcoin, actually happens with gold. Your life is completely different because you're not paying the 25% or 30% taxes. You're not paying the 3,000% inflation. Your wages are not going up now because we're at the end of their system, which is the end cycle of their system. Only in the beginning of the central bank system do people see this incredible drug of inflation, where people's salaries go up, houses go up, everything goes up. At the end of their system, it's the opposite. Everything keeps going up, but your salary doesn't. So it makes it harder for people to make ends meet. And I think this is truly part of Trump's plan to show everyone in a very short period of time, how bad the system really is. Because people have been experiencing inflation for a very long time. Think how think what people experienced just in these last 4 years. If you look at the young generation is saying, "This is ridiculous. I work and work and work. I can't make ends meet. I can't get ahead." The older generation that's on a fixed income, they're saying the same exact thing. "Oh, look, I retired. I'm on a fixed income, but that fixed income is worth nothing because everything just went up. So now I have to go out and get another job." So he showed everyone in a very, very short period of time, look how bad this system is. Look how it doesn't benefit you. And we need to change it. And that's why when he says, "Hey, no taxes on tips," people go, "Oh, I like that. I'll have more money in my pocket." Absolutely. Let's take the fuel costs right now. Everyone's paying a lot more for fuel. That's taking more of your money away. You could use it maybe to go on vacation instead, or maybe to buy something else instead. You're using it to fill up your car and go to work. What happens? I mean, we have to also add this into what his plans are. What happens when the country's energy independent and we're selling the oil across the globe? What payment type are we going to accept for all the oil? You think it's going to be Bitcoin? This country is going to be so wealthy, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous. And because of all this wealth, think about the infrastructure of this country. I mean, our infrastructure right now looks like it's back from what, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. We at
Yeah.
this point, I mean, really think. I mean, at this point in time, we should have high-speed trains going everywhere that are going 3, 4, 500 miles an hour, bringing people the roads and everything. That even cars, everything should be so futuristic that it should be boggling right now. But and I blame this on the private West Central Bank. They kept us back. They kept us from all of this because they didn't want anyone to see the human potential. They didn't want anyone to see what life could be. So they always keep us back. They always make it more difficult. They always make everyone struggle because they like the sheep struggling. They like the people not getting ahead. Meanwhile, they're stealing everything. They have insider information and they make themselves very, very wealthy. They make themselves these organizations like the WHO and the World Bank, the IMF. They put all these things into place to keep their power. The World Economic Forum is another one. And who's funding all this? It's their criminal system that's funding this. You imagine what's going to happen when we go to Bitcoin. They have no more insider information. They can't just print as much as they want. What's going to happen to all these organizations? You think they're going to be in existence? No, they're going to disappear because they don't have that money. And all these elite, they call themselves the elite, or Trump would say elite. Soon, what's going to happen is these people will no longer be the elite because people will start to reach their level and people will do a lot better. I think I think we'll still have poverty, but it's not going to be the way we see it today. It's going to be very, very different. And I think the power that they have is going to disappear. And I think that's why Trump is moving all of us in this direction, but he needs the people on board. He needs the people to see it and understand it. And I think this is why he has introduced it at this time, because he knows what's coming. I do believe we're going to see a major, major turn of the system, and the people, for us to turn into this new system, the people have to be on board. If you remember going back to 1971, when we were on the gold standard, there was no social media, there was nothing, it was just the news. The people were on board with, oh wait, there's speculators in the market, oh, we better get off the gold standard, we better do what you say. See, the people were okay with it, they accepted it. They even accepted, oh, there's a fuel shortage because there's just running out of oil. We just don't have oil anywhere. They didn't realize that we're moving on to a new currency system. And the transition to the new system took a little while. And that's why you saw that hiccup. You saw a recession. You saw what was happening. So I think Trump is going to use the crash of their old system, and he's going to use it as leverage, and he's getting the people on board. And yes, it will look dark in the very, very beginning, but you'll see things quickly change, and you'll see everything start to improve very, very quickly. Just look at Argentina. I mean, this guy comes in, Javier Milei, and all of a sudden, where people said, oh no, you can't stop inflation, oh no, we have to spend this money, oh no, you can't do any of this. How many months did it really take him to start putting things in order? Not 6, 7 months, not that long. And
yeah,
continually improve, because he's also saying, I'm going to allow you to use any currency you want. So that's going to introduce Bitcoin there, just like El Salvador, just like many other countries now that are getting on board with this. So, and also this is really, I think Bitcoin is really going to help the emerging markets, those countries that are very, very poor right now. This is going to prop them up. And they're going to see a completely different type of lifestyle. So I think the world is about to change. And I think Trump has positioned everything for this new world. And this is something the private West central bank, the deep state players don't like, because all their power comes from a centralized system where they control the creation of the currency. And they're going to lose all of this power. And Trump knows this. I think this is the last blow to their system. I mean, I know a lot of people like, oh, we got to arrest everyone. We got to, take these people down. But you need to remove their engine. You need to remove the engine that allows them to operate. Without removing that, it doesn't matter how many people you arrest, because you know why? They just bring in more people and the things all over. So when we remove that engine of them becoming powerful, them becoming wealthy, them creating these organizations to convince you something that is true when it really isn't true. Once he removes the engine and gives that engine back to the people, the deep state, the central bank, and all these individuals like Kerry and Klaus Schwab and all these other people, they completely lose their power. And the power then returns to the people, and the people then have that power. And I think that's going to be the final blow to all of these people. And once that happens, it's pretty much game over for them.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. And I'd like to add on that with this change, switching from the old corrupt Federal Reserve inflationary dollar. Even poverty is going to go away because poverty is a local situation. And as America, as Florida, as all of the counties, as the individuals, as the churches, as everyone adopts this new way of living, where the longer you live, the more valuable your currency is, the local people are going to restructure their governments around that. And as they do, they are going to implement self-funding programs for people in their area. That's why in the 1840s, the 1830s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, the wealthy local people would actually donate a certain amount of money each week or each whatever to the local churches, to the local hospital. Think about if you want great health care, this is how you do it. You as a local community, you vote to create a local public, not national, not even at the state level, local public hospital. We used to have them back in the 1800s, and they were funded by local entrepreneurs willingly giving money to fund the hospital. And this will be a real hospital, not a corporate look at the bottom line, because what the people will do is they'll actually create a local health care endowment that will be funded by Bitcoin. And that endowment will fund the hospital perpetually. You have to look at Bitcoin as a perpetual engine. Once you own some, once you start it, once you put it in your private wallet, just let that sweet son of a mother plucker grow. And add energy to it because it grows energetically. It is the first ever perpetual motion monetary system. And Dave, you can use that term on your show. I give all rights away.
Great.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dave. I know you're slammed. You got a show. Thank you so much for your time. Everyone else, hang on. We have more to come. Brother, you have a great day. Where can everyone reach you if they don't know about you? Where can they find you at, brother?
Well, you can come to my website. It's x22report.com. You can go to Rumble, which is X22report. I'm also now on Twitter, not my original account, but it's real X22report. So you can go on to actually X. You can go on to X and find me there. You can find me on Truth, which is X22report. I'm also on BitChute, which is X22report. So pretty much anywhere that you see a check, I think I have a check on BitChute a check on Rumble. That's the original account. I know there's many other accounts out there that, I don't know, they can take the work and they just copy it. But anything with a check that shows that's my, I guess, certified account, that's the real account. So, so you can find me on all that platforms. If you're confused, just come to x22report.com. I list all the accounts with the links. So you can go right over to X, you can go right over to Truth, you can go right over to Rumble, you can go right over to BitChute, to Telegram. I'm also on Telegram. So it makes it a lot easier if you just come to the website and you can click right over to all those different platforms. So you get the right platform and the right name. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Or one more thing.
Okay.
I have people ask me all the time because they know you and I are friends. When are you having another X22 swag sale?
Probably in September.
Okay.
Yeah, probably next month, probably end of the month or maybe the beginning of October. We're working on the designs right now. So there'll be another launch of the t-shirts, sweatshirts, and the challenge coin, and other little projects.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, brother. You have a great day and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, brother. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Have a good one.
All right, we are back, guys. I'm telling you, Dave is such a patriot, such an amazing guy. Him, his wife, his family, all just salt of the earth people. Love him to death. And folks, he's right as rain, folks. And he has connections in a lot of places. And I mean, Dave's not a bullshitter. You know, Dave calls it like he sees it. And he's one of the most genuine people and just likable people you'd ever want to meet. Like everyone. I'm having a shit show at 3:00 today on the private server. It's going to be one doozy of a show. Folks, I'm telling you now, this show at 3:00, when you get done watching it, you're going to understand who the deep state is. We're going to break it down by every single issue we have today and what links to the deep state, what brought it on, what events historically brought on the rollout of the deep state, and where we're at now. So click the link under here, and folks, absolutely join us for the 3:00 sheet show. Links for the private server is the SUBSTACK. Join, and I will be posting out. Oh, also on Rumble, if you join the Rumble's local channel, you'll get a link for private server also every day. If you join locals on Rumble, you actually get a link every day for the full show. Also on YouTube, I have that. All right. And, one more thing. I had a bunch of people reach out. Anyone interested in getting involved with our club, our actual Bitcoin Ben Crypto Club physical location? We have one here in Sarasota, one in Nashville, one up in Massachusetts, We're launching another one in St. Louis, another one in Texas, Arizona, probably early next year. Another one here in Florida, probably Tampa. If you have any questions or anything like that concerning the club, give us a call, 941-391-3882. Love you guys. See you at 3. Bye-bye, guys.